Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're here to do our top 12 best horror games on the Quest 2, Quest 3, and the Quest 3S during the Halloween spooky season for 2024. Now I know a lot of you guys have just gotten your Quest 3S's and are really excited to dive into the world of what the Meta Quest can offer and different experiences and stuff like that. So I'll be doing this list and a lot of lists like this going forward for the rest of the year, showcasing all the different top games in different genres that you guys can enjoy, like some of the ones that we did before. You can check out my top mixed reality games that I did on this channel last week. We'll be doing our top FPS games, we'll be doing our top games of the year, all those kinds of things that you guys can look forward to. So make sure you guys subscribe and follow this channel to get all of that news. But today, let's go ahead and talk about some horror games and talk about some of the best ones that we can play on our Quest platform. Let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so the first one here coming in at number 10 is Affected the Manor. Now yes, for those of you guys who recognize this title, I think it's the oldest one on the list, but it's still a very unique game because when a lot of us think of horror games and we want to showcase VR to our friends and stuff like that, a lot of us think of haunted houses and going within a haunted house and getting, jump scares and stuff like that while you're walking through it. And that's exactly what this game offers. And there's not really any other game like this on the Quest platform where you're walking through a haunted house and you get your jump scares. You're walking through, you don't know what's going to be around the next corner and stuff like that. And they actually did add a couple of other modes as well that actually make it even more fun, so there's more to explore than there used to be when the game first released. But I still enjoy this one, especially to showcase to friends and family who have never tried it before or want the horror genre showcased in VR. This is definitely one for that. Affected the Manor, the complete edition, coming in at number 10. The next one here coming in at number 9 is Drop Dead The Cabin, but specifically the mixed reality mode that they have in this game, because this is the game that I always show people mixed reality in, and this is a great horror game. Basically, it turns your house and turns your windows into boarded up windows. You have weapons in front of you that kind of pop up from the ground, and you're trying to fight off these zombies, but nothing is scarier when these zombies get really close to you and they're in your actual home running around and trying to dodge around you and stuff like that. And then especially when the big guy shows up through the window and you're trying to fend them off. It is a really exhilarating experience. It's a really cool use of mixed reality. And the game in and of itself is a great game as well, where it's kind of like Call of Duty Zombies in VR with your friends. So the full game is awesome. But for this specific list, mixed reality is where it's at for me, because I love the horror nature of it and trying to survive the night and stuff like that and defending your home. It's fantastic. Really cool use. It's still one of my favorite use cases of mixed reality. And yeah, you should check this one out if you want to scare your friends or scare yourself when playing this game. That is Drop Dead The Cabin, coming in at number 9. The next one on this list, coming in at number 8, is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Now, it could be Chapter 1 or Chapter 2. Both of them are fantastic games. Of course, Chapter 2 is the latest one, and that would be the one I recommend. Because they are in the same location. They still take part in New Orleans, but Chapter 2 actually expanded it and let you, explore more inside areas, and it kind of expanded the map, but still kind of set in the same thing. But this is fantastic, especially if you're a Walking Dead fan, and obviously a horror fan, especially if you go out at night in the city, because you can explore the city during the day and take on missions and for different people around the city and stuff like that. But when you explore this at night, that is where the horror nature kind of takes its toll, and you're kind of in there where you're at night, you're trying to get more loot, there's more undead everywhere, there's more opportunities, to see different things and get better loot and stuff like that. But you're going to have to take into account that there's going to be more undead hiding around every single corner. And it's just a fantastic amount of fun. This game has been, highly acclaimed for a long time now when it first came out, the first and the second one. And it's definitely one that if you haven't played, you should definitely check out. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, Chapter 1 or Chapter 2, coming in at number 8. The next one here coming in at number 7 is Blair Witch. Now, of course, you guys all know Blair Witch, the actual movie, and what better way to celebrate the Halloween season or the spooky season than playing Blair Witch, one of the scariest movies of all time brought into VR. And I still remember when I first played this game when it first came out, and it was one of the most scariest experiences in VR I've ever had. It really does feel like you're playing the Blair Witch Project in VR, where you're kind of lost in the forest. You're kind of obviously exploring the area, exploring what's happening, exploring everything about it, and you don't know what's going to happen at what turn. And this game has horror in spades. If you guys are looking to get scared completely and actually have a story to it and play the Blair Witch Project in VR, this is definitely one I recommend, especially if you're a fan of the movies and how that movie goes. This is that game brought into VR. Blair Witch coming in at number 7. The next game here, coming in at number 6, is Cosmo Dread. Now, this is a lot of people's favorite horror game out there. It's been around for a while, and this is a very unique game because it's a survivor horror game, but it's a roguelike survivor horror game. So basically what happens is you're in a spaceship, and you're basically wake up and you're trying to survive. You're exploring, you're trying to make your way back to Earth, essentially. But what's really cool is that every time you play this game, the levels that are actually generated are completely random. So you're never going to have the same experience twice. The monsters are never going to come from the same location. They're always going to be different areas. It's obviously very dark in here, and you're trying to go around the corners, trying to explore, and like I said, trying to make your way back to Earth. It is a very, very scary game if you're into that kind of genre, especially with the roguelike elements, because you never can memorize where they're coming from or memorize what corner to worry about or anything like that, like you could in most games, which kind of sets this game apart that, hey, every time you play this game, you're always going to find new scares and stuff because you just don't know where they're going to come from or what's actually going to happen. So it's a really cool game. Cosmo Dread coming in at number 6. The next one here, coming in at number 5, is The Exorcist Legion. Now, this is one of my favorite movies ever made, The Exorcist. It's one of the scariest movies I've ever watched. I used to watch all of these as a kid and get scared of them all the time. And this is that game, or that movie brought into VR. They separated into 5 different chapters. You can actually get, I believe, the first chapter for free if you want to check this out. But it is well known in the community on the Quest to be one of the scariest games in VR that you can actually play. It really does bring the movie to life, where you're actually, experiencing an exorcism and stuff like that while you're going through the story. And the 5 chapters that you go through, it gets better and better as it progresses. I was really hoping that we would have their sequel by now because that's how much I like this game. But unfortunately, we're all still waiting for that sequel. But man, what a fantastic game! What a fantastic, movie franchise. Like I said, it's one of my favorites out there. I love watching this movie, and I love that we have a game based off of it in VR. The Exorcist Legion coming in at number 5. The next game here, coming in at number 4, is Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2. So, of course, this is a sequel to the original game, an original game that a lot of people love. This is one of the most popular horror games on PC before it even came to VR. It is a very, very popular game, and I thought they did a fantastic job with the first one bringing it into VR, and this sequel is no different. There's more mini games and more stuff to do. For those of you guys who haven't played this game before, basically what happens is that you're basically an employee, and you basically have to prove yourself to kind of excel at the pizzeria management and maintenance, and you're basically doing all these different mini games and stuff like that. And while you're doing these mini games and while you're doing these things, you have to watch out for this really, scary clown sometimes that may be coming after you to make sure that you're actually working and doing all these different things. It is really, really cool. The mini games in the sequel are really fun. If you're scared of clowns, beware. There's a lot of creepy looking clown things in this game for sure. But the minigames are super fun, and the horror is turned up a notch here in the sequel. They did a fantastic job with the first one and the second one. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 coming in at number 4. The next one on this list, coming in at number 3, is Nope Challenge. Now, this is one that's the newest game on the list, and this one is really cool. If you really want to face your fears, this is the game for you. Basically, what it does is it offers you 9 unique challenges that are around 3 different things: phobias, clowns, heights, and spiders. So basically what happens is that it gives you 3 different levels that you can kind of select from: light, moderate, or extreme. And then you basically have to get through these experiences, whether it be clowns or heights or spiders or whatever the case may be. And you can decide to nope out of the challenge. But the idea is that you're trying to make it to the end of that challenge without noping out, of course. It is really, really cool. It really does make you face your fears, where you have to decide when you actually want to nope out or if you're going to get to the end. And it does increasingly get worse if you go from light to moderate to extreme. It is really, really cool. If you're afraid of certain things like this will definitely put you on edge and really make you face your fears. Super cool. Nope coming in at number 3.
right?
The next one here coming in at number 2 is Resident Evil 4. Now, I don't think this game needs any introduction to anybody. We were waiting for this to come out, and this is obviously one of the best horror games of all time when it came out, you know, on the GameCube and stuff. And then we got a port into VR, and it was completely remade for VR, not like some like 2D conversion or anything. They did a fantastic job with this game, and it's everything we could have wanted in Resident Evil 4, but it's even scarier than the original when we played it because, of course, now you're actually in the game. Now you're facing these enemies directly in front of you. So you have all of these unique VR interactions that you never had before that, you know, you're kind of reliving this game in VR, and you're like, you know what's going to happen if you've played this game on the GameCube and stuff, but you also don't because it's a very different experience in VR. Again, they did a fantastic job bringing this game to VR. One of my favorite games. You know, it's definitely my favorite Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 4 was my favorite one, and I'm super happy to have such a good game in VR to kind of relive that experience in VR, and it translates super, super well. You would think it was made for VR originally. So, Resident Evil 4 coming in at number 2. And the last game here coming in at number 1, still my favorite horror game in VR when it came out last year, is Propagation Paradise Hotel. This is everything I could want in a horror game. It is everything that you could want. Like I said, I love going into like hotels and mansions and stuff like that, and this is exactly what you do. You enter this paradise hotel. Basically, the story is that there's a strange illness that basically turned people into these savage creatures and stuff, and you're trying to find your sister. That is the premise of the game. And this is a solo survival horror game, of course, but the storytelling is insane. You're gathering resources, you're solving puzzles, you're using tools in your inventory, you're trying to, you know, look for these enemies and stuff like that, you're reloading your gun under the stressful stuff. It's just such a good game. The VR interactions in this game are fantastic with the puzzle solving and stuff like that. But the horror game, you know, how scary this game does and how much it scares you and you don't know what's going to happen at each turn. They really do a great job at trying to scare you in this game with the intensity of it, with the horror vibes that are around it, the environment that you're in, the story that they're actually telling really leaves you at the edge of your seat. If you're looking for a VR storytelling game that brings you on an adventure and also scares you at the same time, this is that game. It is my number 1 game, Paradise Hotel. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video of my top 10 games for 2024 for best horror games that you can experience during the spooky season here on the Quest 3, Quest 3S, or the Quest 2. It's a really great time to be a horror fan. There's always new games to look forward to in VR that kind of explore the horror side of things. You know, super excited about it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this list. And as always, if you guys have any questions, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.